Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Administrative Committee. Gosh, full house today. That's unusual. We are Julia Parker,
Sandra Kelly.
Andrew Davis.
and the first thing we have to do is select a chair.
I move Julia Parker as chair and Drew Davis as vice chair.
I would agree with that.
That works. That works for me.
That's what happens when you sit in the middle chair. You have to be end up being the chair. All right. Well, I guess we have to approve the committee notes from November 27th when none of us were on this committee. It's a little weird, but we can do that.
You can do it.
Okay, we approve them. You approve?
I approve.
Look, John.
Okay. First thing on the actual agenda is the poor. Oh, you guys make up these words and then I can't say them. Poor Company
Stark Beer Fest.
Stark Beer Fest. Alcohol use request in the entertainment district. With Amanda. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thank you. Oh, here you go. Okay. All right. It feels good to be back.
Great.
So what is available in your packet is standard operating procedure for alcohol use requests in the entertainment district. What's unique about this one, it's the first event hosted by Pour Company, not the first event, but the first of this Stark Beer Fest. And it's in an unutilized portion of the entertainment district, which not many people realize actually includes that 6th Street portion. And so I just pulled up on the screen for a better idea of what we're actually talking about in the entertainment district footprint. In case there's questions regarding that. But Pour Company is the only licensed alcohol vendor at this event. So all of the tents that you'll see are actually going to be their tents featuring different types of beers. Stark Beer Fest, for those of you that don't know, just means strong beer. I think I got that right, Stefan? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, per Moscow City Code, we have a draft resolution that legal has reviewed for council's consideration, but it's an exciting potential annual event. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the process. And then Stefan is here representing Pour Company if you have any questions about the event itself.
One question quick about the event itself, and that is, will there be any heating stations if it's cold? Sometimes March.
Yeah, Stefan, do you want to come on up? It's not that I don't like you. I got a little head cold.
I was just wondering if there are any heating stations or things like that.
We have played with doing, like we've done at Winterfest, like a couple little fire pits. We might make that decision as we get closer, but
You thought about it though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would have to be approved through the fire department. Yeah.
Cool.
And does this coincide with some other event in the university or something, or nope, just an event?
Yeah, so it's on a weekend, so access to that parking area that the university owns should not be an issue. The drive-through for taco time will remain open, so it's not, I don't think it's quite clear here, but it will be set back so people can access taco time. Asbury Street will remain open, probably as a detour. And then, of course, I can't remember what that street is. Deacon?
Deacon.
Yeah. Will be.
There's parking at Gormley and like they can come across the park, right? Is that?
People can, Moscow is Idaho's most walkable city, and it's a beer event, so we're going to encourage people to walk in.
Great.
And no beer would be permitted outside of the designated footprint. And our streets department does have no alcohol permitted or no open containers permitted beyond this point signs that we'll make sure they know where to put those.
Looks great.
So, yeah.
I'm for it.
How are the streets going to be blocked off?
Kind of how you see this up here, Julia, is you can't really see the drive way through for taco time, but that footprint will be set back so people can access that drive through to taco time. So there would likely be a do not enter sign there. And then right by where 6th and Deacon is, that's a natural light intersection. And so there would be a do not enter sign there. So someone traveling eastbound would have to go around through by the transit center if they wanted to access downtown.
And there'd
Yeah.
likely have to be a block off too, because the alley is now open all the way through to
Oh.
3rd Street. So
Okay.
something there as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But our streets department will be the one implementing the street closure.
The barricades.
Mhm.
Great.
Just have a little concern about that. I'm just going to say it because
Yeah.
last time there was an event like this in downtown, somebody forgot to put the barricades across the street. So they were all like stacked up on one side. And it made me nervous. So
Mhm.
whoever's in charge of that.
Yeah, and it's quite possible that the applicants move them, and we are very strict in telling them, please do not move them. Our streets personnel do not appreciate that. But
Could be.
I do know that typically if you see them offset, it is for allowing vendor load in and load out.
Somebody came in.
And yeah,
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
great,
Recommend for approval and just put it on consent.
Yep, me too.
wonderful.
All right.
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Could have brought samples.
Oh, that should have been a requirement. Next on our agenda is a proposed lot line adjustment at 2216 South Main Street with
I don't know what I'm
Amy.
doing, Amy.
Amy Henrik.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me today. So if you want to draw your attention to the screen behind you, I have a brief presentation to kind of give you a visual representation about the lot line adjustment that is proposed for 2216 South Main Street. You're probably familiar with this property just east of Main Street and at the south end of town. It recently was annexed into the city. These are the proposed lots as they sit currently. Closer in aerial photo of that, lot 1 being the very top lot. That lot currently sits at 2.02 acres. Parcel 2 is the one in the middle that contains the 2 buildings. Those are currently various commercial uses, automotive repair, things of that nature. That parcel currently sits at 0.74 acres. And then the third parcel is currently vacant land and sits at 4.85 acres. The applicant is proposing to increase parcel 1 to 1.2, decrease parcel 1 to 1.29 acres, increase parcel 2 to 2.57 acres, and decrease parcel 3 to 3.55 acres. The green represents the new lot lines that are being proposed today. This is an exhibit that was provided by Hodge & Associates showing those new lot lines. This is current zoning. It is zone motor business. Within motor business, every lot is required, there is no lot size minimum, but every lot is required to meet a street right of way for at least 40 feet in distance. There's a front setback for all buildings of 10 feet. In this case, all 3 of those lots meet these requirements. And so with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
I don't have any crucial questions. My question always is, do you know what they want, why they want it larger, and what they might want to do?
I believe they want to sell a portion of the property.
Purchase for sale, right? There's a for sale sign out there right now.
You're gonna, well, it doesn't matter what they're going to do with it. Okay. Right.
Pretty standard procedure for developing land.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we recommend the approval and just put on consent. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
That's fine with me. Put it on consent.
Thank you very much.
We're speeding through these.
Don't you jinx us.
Sorry.
We're only halfway there.
Yeah. Number 5, Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program Participation Agreement with Bill.
If I could have got a couple more P's in there, it'd been
I
good.
know. You guys like
I
to just
know.
give me a challenge.
It's always a
Made up
test.
words,
It's always a test.
alliteration.
Idaho Code does allow political subdivisions in the state of Idaho to participate in cooperative purchasing organizations. And those can include partners with the state of Idaho, with other public political subdivisions, or other governmental entities. Sourcewell is a cooperative purchasing organization that conducts public competitive procurement and provides efficient means of procuring certain goods and services. We have previously utilized Sourcewell, so it's very much like the Houston Galveston Purchasing Cooperative that we utilize for fire apparatus. And so this one we have used for various heavy vehicles and other equipment where we don't have many other vendors with a presence in the state of Idaho. In this instance, we are seeking to utilize them. It's the next agenda item for some closed circuit television equipment, but it's been a while since we've updated our participation agreement with Sourcewell, so we'd like to get that updated with the mayor's signature. So a copy of the agreement is included in the packet, and all we are seeking is the council's authorization for the mayor's signature for us to participate in that cooperative. With that,
I
I'd be
didn't see
happy to.
anything weird when I was reading through that. Seemed normal about what we do with other things.
Is there a cost to joining the
There is no
cooperative?
cost. No cost to us, and we get a discount off list price for most items.
So when I was reading the letter, so I just want to make sure. So what kind of equipment, like for example, would it be?
So
This is more
very good.
curiosity more than anything for me. More curiosity.
So it's heavy specialized, like heavy equipment, but specifically we're doing the closed circuit television equipment. So that's on the agenda as the next item. So that's the camera equipment we utilize to inspect underground sewer and stormwater lines. And so that's the current purchase. I know there are a couple other pieces of equipment this year the fleet department had anticipated utilizing this cooperative agreement for as well.
Cool. Thank you.
I would recommend we put it on the consent agenda.
Yep, me too.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is CCTV transporter inspection equipment contract with Evan and Steve. Hello.
Well, we're glad that'll go onto the consent agenda so that we can talk about this. In your guys' packet, there should be a draft purchase agreement for purchasing some CCTV equipment through the use of Sourcewell, which would be with MetroQuip, would be the vendor providing that equipment for us. So we just wanted to briefly touch on what our CCTV system even consists of and what equipment we would be purchasing through this process. So our current CCTV program, we have a mobile van that was purchased in 2011, consists of the vehicle transporter, the cable reel, camera, generator, controller, and we have a computer in there with the hardware and software to run these systems. They're typically on a 15-year replacement schedule that is primarily for the chassis of the vehicle. That's how that was set up. We noticed the chassis, the van itself is in great shape. We don't have a lot of miles on it. And so we would like to just replace the equipment inside of the unit. The actual CCTV inspection equipment itself doesn't necessarily have that 15-year life on it. So we're just slightly ahead of schedule to get that replaced, but it is definitely in desperate need of getting replaced. And so the program, we utilize that piece of equipment for routine inspections, emergency response. If we're running through a line and we can't actually get through it, this is really our only eyes to get down there and see what we're running into. It helps us develop our capital improvement plan, so to get lines on for replacement. And then pre-acceptance of inspections for new development, and then also gets us accurate utility locating, the ability just to locate any line wherever it may be. So current budget we set in FY24 was $215,000 for the sewer side of things, and then $108,000 for storm. The EnviroSite equipment cost that we're looking at is $205,000, just a little north of that for sewer, and then $113,000 for storm. I'll let Steve kind of talk through what the stormwater budget and what that's actually getting us for his side of things.
So for stormwater, obviously we didn't exist back in 2011 when the original equipment was purchased. We don't have any camera equipment besides a hand-me-down, I think it's 20 years old camera that you can't even see what's going on the monitor. So we currently don't have any inspection equipment. I have to borrow the sewer departments after it's been sanitized, cleaned. So the bottom picture there is just kind of the bare bones basic package. It's a mobile unit that can be put in the back of a pickup and then taken out in the field to then deploy. And you've got your controller monitor system there in the middle that you can type what kind of issues or deficiencies you may see in the pipe and document, the length, where the services are, all the different aspects of CCTV inspections.
Yeah, it's a highly mobile unit. So there's a lot of lines, access points to the systems that aren't necessarily just in the roadway, and it's really hard to get that equipment when it's in a backyard or in somewhere that's inaccessible. So this would definitely help with that. What we're currently struggle with in the Q system is we have a lot of older clay lines out in our system. We have roughly 30%. Those 6-inch lines, the older lines settle, the joints kind of disconnect slightly, and so that cross-sectional area kind of reduces. And so we do have trouble getting our current equipment through some of those lines. And so these actually have smaller transporters. They're 20% lighter, and so they're able to run through the smaller lines that we do have and get eyes on that infrastructure. We have the ability to run up to 84 inches in diameter, which we don't have anything that large, but it is nice to have. Actually, Steve, you may. Yeah, so Storm does.
We've got little lines all the way up to 112 inch, but trying to get in the center of the pipe in order to accurately see what's going on in there.
Yeah, and then it does just provide some of the most efficient capabilities to be able to code those lines. We have asset conditional indexing to be able to run through a series of codes as you see deficiencies and defects throughout the pipe. So those are just quick reference keys for the operator to be able to run through. You also have the ability to then run a full control of your system anywhere, so you can take that out. And if you are operating, from a backyard or wherever it may be, you have full screen function, and then you have some of your major control functions that allow you just to focus on when you're trying to deploy this unit into a deep manhole. It just allows you the most essential basic functions out on site, so that way you can drop that piece of equipment in there. So we're recommending for acceptance of the contract from MetroQuip, an award in those amounts of $205,000 and for sewer and the $113,000 for stormwater. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Do you have any extra training that you're going to have to do that's not budgeted for to be able to run this?
So there is a day of installation and a day of training. We've been lucky enough to be able to demo this equipment and run through it. And so a lot of it, we're pretty familiar with the equipment, and we don't anticipate all the coding's the same. It's a kind of a national coding requirement that goes into the sewer infrastructure. So there will be a little bit of familiarization with the software, but the equipment is substantially easier to work with. So it's going to speed up a lot of our kind of replacement of swapping cameras and elevators and tires on these devices, which would be really nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
What's the model's name? I'm just wondering.
These are called rovers. So that's nothing super special.
I was hoping for something a little
Rats.
Yeah.
We'll give it a nickname.
They do. They have
The nickname. The nickname's coming. So just they're cute rovers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I want to see you guys do. I want to see the stormwater one. I don't really want to see
I'm
the
sure
sewer
we'll
one.
do another
I
stormwater
think
report.
Sandra's driven our old one, so yeah, you can drive this new.
How do you get on that
Not
list?
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
The perks of being a council member. What?
This doesn't
So
hurt us anything budget-wise, right? It looked
Correct.
like it was on target.
It's
so-
been on
Okay.
the way I'm understanding it, because that was a question I was reading through. This is funds set aside for this in 2024. This is something we've been, in a sense, saving for.
Yep,
Correct.
we've been anticipating planning
Yeah.
for its replacement.
Just making sure I was right about that.
do you think the lifespan's about the same, 15 years or?
Of the equipment, the realistic lifespan of the equipment that we currently have was roughly 10 years. The actual transporters, the cameras, they have to go in for annual rebuilds just to make sure that, if there is a deficiency or a problem with them, they can go in more than that. But realistically, yeah, you're planning on, somewhere between that 10-year range of
The truck was
equipment.
15.
Yeah, the truck was 15 and yeah, like I said, the truck barely has any miles on it, just driving in town. So.
Okay, I recommend we put this on consent then. Yep.
Me too.
Awesome.
Can't wait to drive.
Thank you.
these.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is well 2 and 3 chlorine generator retrofit with Scott Bontracker.
And Evan will be back here too. So this one is for well 2 and 3, which is in the building there on the northeast corner of A and Jackson, the water department's building up there. And this is in regards to replacing the existing chlorine gas system with a hypochlorite generation system, which is basically updating the technology on this. Evan's got a PowerPoint that'll kind of show some pictures of the difference between the two. Lot safer system. See if we can get this pulled up.
So, well, maybe Evan's going to answer this, but I was confused as to why it's safer. I mean, I know chlorine
Yeah.
gas is bad, but the other one, which is basically bleach, is can also be explosive and bad.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually as safe as hand sanitizer. So it's there's an incredibly small amount of bleach in it.
Okay.
But you're dosing at a poundage rate that then generates, so the rate that you're dosing into the water system is substantially higher. So you're going to the equivalent of the chlorine gas demand, which would be like 4 milligrams per liter into the water stream. But the actual solution makeup itself is very minimal. And so what you're doing with these is our current system, we have wells 2, 3, 8, and 9 utilize chlorine gas. That's the actual drawing from 74 of our current pump house system. And our current wells 6 and 10 utilize Miox, on-site generated hyperchlorite. And so those the chlorine gas system, we use 150-pound cylinders. That chlorine gas does have the potential to escape. We have, response plans in place to assure that hopefully that does not happen. They're ran off of a vacuum system to help eliminate that exposure, so that you're pumping based off of a vacuum, so that if you do have a leak, it's sucking air into the system rather than pressurizing it out. But there still is the potential. We have to replace those cylinders, on every couple days when we're utilizing that system. And so you're removing regulators, having chlorine gas, essentially pressurized into that cylinder, escape, and one little the volume exchange, it expands at 460 times. So one drop of chlorine gas expands at such a dramatic rate. So you have a very high potential to have a release of chlorine if you're not following the appropriate replacement procedures that are in place. And so these Miox systems, you're just using water, salt, and power. And so salt is obviously very abundant. We can store roughly 245 days worth of salt on hand in just our storage area. They just come in little 50-pound bags. And you're saving money on the pound for pound ratio of this disinfection system. So with chlorine gas, we're spending about $4 a pound to get that into our system. And with this, once you have this system in place, you're spending about 40 cents per pound. So it does save a lot. You're creating a very essentially weak solution that you are able to then apply into the water system, which is very, very nice. And then there's also just the ability, we do run into, it frequently happens where it's hard to get a hold of chlorine cylinders. There's only 4 manufacturers in the country that produce it, and so it's hard to always plan if there is an outage or if there is a problem. This side of things, you're just getting salt and taking that and doing electrolysis and then generating this solution, this sodium hypochlorite solution.
Yeah, so we had published requests for proposals on December 23rd. We had a few different companies interested. One asked the main questions for it. And then we opened proposals on January 9th, of which only one actually had responded. And the responsive proposal we received was from Filtration Technology with a bid of $219,250, which is within the budget that we have. So our recommendation is to accept the proposal from Filtration Technology and award a contract in the amount of the $219,250 and authorize staff approval of change orders in an amount not to exceed 10%, which we don't expect, but just in case something does come up that we need to tweak before the procurement itself.
Questions?
I don't mean, you guys did a good job, made sense. So
You have to do a lot of changing to implement the new with the old cylinders and whatnot.
Yeah, so we'll remove the old cylinders, get those back to the distributor, and then we have the footprint area to do it. We just have to get the tank in there. So we're just going to have to remove a couple blocks and a window to get that tank in there. That's the storage tank for the solution. But other than that, power-wise is pretty straightforward, and then drain-wise containment as far as that goes. The Department of Environmental Quality signed off on how that system would flow. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward to just replace that and put it in. This would be the third one we'd get in.
Okay.
So
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for helping me understand it. And, always glad to get chlorine gas out of the
Yeah, me
city.
too.
absolutely.
So, and it saves money. So it seems like a win-win.
Approve.
Approved for consent?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
It's a sewer kind of day.
Yeah, next on the agenda is the Brent Drive Sewer Project. Bob,
I don't
how do you
have
say your last name?
Bouvel.
Bouvel.
Yep. I don't have a cool PowerPoint presentation.
Anyway, Bob, it's okay.
Oh, well, thank you. And I would like to say that I would have really appreciated to have that new camera system when I was doing the design for this project, because there were several sections of this sewer line that we were unable to inspect because of the we didn't have the ability to do the 4-inch lines. The existing line is a 6-inch line, but because of the offsets and stuff like that, we weren't able to inspect it. So I'm happy to see that coming and getting better. Okay. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Brent Drive Sewer Project. In this project, we are going to replace approximately 1,300 feet of, I think I said clay, but it's actually concrete, 6-inch concrete line. This line runs up and down what we're calling Brent Street. The right-of-way that was dedicated for it was Brent Drive, but it's barely a road, and it runs from behind Norm's Auto Glass down to E Street, right there at where Sonic is. So it's just to kind of give you an idea, a visualization of what we're replacing. That line has lots of deficiencies and is a maintenance issue for our crews. So it's up for replacement. We advertised on December 9th and December 16th of 2023, and we opened bids on January 9th of 2024. We received 4 bids ranging from $428,000 up to $529,000. The lowest bid was from Germer Construction in the amount of $428,000 and $424,000. The engineer's estimate was $473,000, so under estimate and pretty close to the budget. I believe the budget for the project was $420,000. So our recommendation is that we we recommend award of the contract to Germer Construction. You guys have any questions?
It always stands out, and you may not know, and that's absolutely fine, but I mean, there's $100,000 difference there. Any idea why?
It's always tough to speculate. You can look through the numbers, and honestly, I think it really just, a lot of it just comes down to how much the contractor wants it,
Okay.
wants the project.
Makes sense. Thanks.
What makes this particular line stand out in terms of problems? Like why Brent Drive now?
Well, as I mentioned, it regularly requires maintenance jetting because the old concrete line, as Evan mentioned before, the joints kind of they get offset from each other, and it creates a poor flow line through the pipe. So solids build up on those, and then our crews have to go in and jet them regularly. It also has a couple of spots where has a few bellies, which is like a term of the pipe comes down and then has to flow uphill before it can go downhill again. And so those spots also collect solids. It's just kind of indicative of those kind of, it's a common problem for those old concrete and clay lines laid back in the 50s. And it's also, the concrete pipe also has several cracks along the top. And the problem with those is once those break in, then you start getting soil and road material into your pipe that then washes down. And before you know it, you can also have sinkholes in the roads and things like that. So.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Bill, a lot of these are also going to start coming on capital improvement plans too, right, for some of these projects?
Yeah, this one's been programmed for 5 years.
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
So I think we finally hit the construction year for this one. So this one was contemplated. We had 5 or 6 years ago, we had a sewage overflow. There's a very shallow manhole at the intersection of Morton that's been problematic. So this one's been on our CAP since we first published that in 2019.
Okay.
So we've been contemplating this project for quite some time.
How long do you think it'll take?
We gave them, I believe in the contract, 60 days to do the work. It probably won't take that long, but there will be a little bit of searching and looking for sewer services. As I mentioned before, we weren't able to run the cameras up a significant portion of this line. So finding exact locations where a lot of the sewer services were, it was nearly impossible. So we'll have to do a lot of that work during construction.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you.
Time for it?
Put it on the consent agenda again?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last on our agenda is the police statewide e-ticket equipment grant application with Alyssa and Chris.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
So today's the equipment purchase day, isn't it? Yeah. Today, we're bringing forward an item, and I had to make some changes earlier today, so I'll go over that with you. But Chief Freg contacted Chris this morning and said, can we do parking enforcement vehicle also? So I'm adding to the number, so we'll update that with you today. And then we'll get the staff report changed before it goes to City Council. So this is a program, you've heard me mention, the Office of Highway Safety, that's under the Idaho Transportation Department umbrella. And they provide assistance for police equipment and also some of our other programs that we do, mobilizations and traffic officer, those types of things. This grant is one that we had applied for. I want to say it was originally back in 2012, but it was when the court system put out the e-ticketing option where we had all this equipment that was in the police vehicles installed, and then the e-ticketing system communicated to a program that all the law enforcement tickets go into a centralized location. to think about not having that years ago that way. I was yeah. So I wasn't aware that we were eligible to reapply for this. And I guess they changed it a few years ago, but that information didn't go back out. So Karen Potter and I went to a training last fall, and they shared that after 3 years, you can reapply to replace your equipment. So, but that was after we prepared the budget for the upcoming year. So what we're looking at now versus what was in your original staff report is we're 9 units is what we had. We're moving to 10 units. And just rounding up a little bit, we're asking total project cost will be $40,000 for all of the equipment. And that will still requires a 25% match. So our match would be $10,000. And then our grant request would be $30,000. And I'll let Chris talk to you about the types of equipment we're looking at. This is basically, we just log in and input it. And the match can include, we can document the time that fleet uses to install the units into the car, but most of them had units already, so it's kind of a bit of a plug and play, but I think there's still some installation to go there. So IS had already programmed, was it 6 units, 6 full replacements?
Yes.
In the budget. And so this is going to provide a little relief in the budget to have some room to go back. And so we'll be able to cut back on what was originally budgeted and provide the grant funding to do that. So I'll let Chris talk to you about what the equipment is and how it works.
Yeah. Each police car, or maybe even the parking enforcement car, consists of a laptop, which we call an MDT, which is connected to a thermal printer for the tickets. Each car gets a barcode scanner so the officer can scan licenses and registrations quickly. And then some of the cars have Cradle Point Wi-Fi units that connect through Verizon. And then some of the laptops will actually just have a Verizon card in it itself. And that will effectively let the officers just write electronic tickets that will talk to our network over VPN. And then those go to the court system. And that's how that system works.
MDT, Mobile Data Terminal.
And those are, we historically used Dell computers, and we're going to go with those again. They're compatible with the mounts that are already in the police cars.
Great.
So we'll be adding one to the parking enforcement vehicle, which is one that we hadn't had in the past. So that was the
Maybe the one that
additional-
writes the most tickets.
I'm not sure, but it could be.
It does on my car.
No mercy.
No mercy.
That little white piece of paper with the orange edges.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times.
So I'll go ahead and make those changes to the staff report before it moves forward to council. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Sounds great.
okay.
Thank you
Saving
for
money.
finding that grant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We like that on
We place
consent?
that on consent.
Thank you.
Wait, if we put
Can it-
put everything
make it-
on consent,
Okay.
then we have nothing to talk about. at
I think
council.
we'll have stuff to talk about.
Okay.
I think we'll be all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Anything else, Bill?
Nothing from staff.
Anybody else?
Let's adjourn.
Last call. Let's adjourn.